beef cooked low and slow for over 24 hours in its own juices. Chopped up and rendered and crisped to perfection on a griddle before being wrapped in a warm tortilla with hot sauce, pickled onions, and cilantro. Sounds pretty magical, right? This is a great taco, but actually, most of us will never even try it. Now, before you convince yourself that you'll never make or eat beef tongue tacos, let me give you 3 reasons why you may reconsider. Number 1 is that the texture is actually fairly normal. I mean, when we think of offal like intestines or stomach or liver, I'm right there with you. Those things can be really hard to stomach from just a pure texture perspective. But for beef tongue that is cooked low and slow for over 24 hours in the sous vide and then chopped up into little pieces and crisped to perfection like carnitas, you'll completely forget that you're eating a beef tongue taco. Number 2 is that we waste a lot of food. And different cuts that aren't popular like beef tongue are a big reason why. I mean, plenty of us have thrown out the giblets from our chicken or Thanksgiving turkey. I know I have, I'm sure you guys have too. And to at least minimize some waste, I feel like we should at least be trying these unpopular cuts of meat. You know, I'm not saying eat it every day or week, maybe like twice a year, or once every 3 years. But at least trying it and seeing if you like it, I think is important because a lot of times we just only focus on chicken breast, chicken thigh, steaks, ground beef, and maybe some pork products like bacon, and that's really all that we do. We don't really expand beyond that. When there are a lot more cuts of meat out there, yeah, some of them we're never gonna like, and that's perfectly fine. But I feel like we should at least be trying them, so maybe the next time you see a beef tongue or a beef tongue taco, give it a shot. Lastly, I'm not gonna say it's some super health food or something like that. I'm very much on the everything in moderation team. That being said, beef tongue is pretty high in things like iron and zinc. I mean, zinc is really important towards immune health. So if that is something that you happen to be looking out for, hey, maybe you give beef tongue a try. Given those reasons, I'm not sure how many of you I've actually convinced to try beef taco. Maybe like 3% of you are like a little bit more likely to. But that's perfectly fine, like I said. Anyway, if you guys want to watch the rest of the video, now I'm going to show you how to make beef tongue tacos. It's really easy, and I'll meet you guys back here for the taste test. For this beef tongue, I'm turning to the sous vide method, which is very much a set it and forget it. Alternatively, you could do something like a poach with just a stock pot and water, but I'm going with sous vide. And all I want to do is season this nicely with salt, pepper, and then we're going to toss in some tomatoes, onions, and cilantro, and everything will just cook down in that sous vide. Now that we have everything in our sous vide bags, and yes, I'm just using a standard freezer Ziploc bag. So what we're gonna do is just start up our sous vide. I'm using the Joule from Chef Steps. It's got a nice app that pairs with your phone. Works really well for me. I've had it for a couple years now. And then for this beef tongue, I'm gonna set it to 170 degrees and let this go for 24 hours. You could do it up to 48 if you wanted, but after 24 hours, the fat will be nice and juicy, and this will be a tender cut of meat. So now it is the next day, and it is time to remove our tongue from the sous vide bag, but do not throw away the juices and the vegetables in the bag. We're going to be using that in a little salsa later. So while this tongue is really juicy and tender, there are still a couple things that we have to do to it before getting to our tacos. And number 1 is removing the outer skin of the tongue.
So what you can do is really just slide your finger underneath and it should lift away pretty easily. You shouldn't need to cut this or anything like that. It honestly should just lift right out. Yeah, I know this is a little bit disgusting, but I mean, it's not really any different from like removing skin from a chicken thigh or something like that. And now that we have that outer skin removed, it's time to slice this up. Making sure your knife is sharp, just slice thin slices all down through the tongue. And I'm telling you, once you slice this, I feel like it doesn't even look like a tongue anymore. It looks like maybe a slice of roast beef or some kind of other cut of meat. I mean, if you serve that to a platter about someone, like, I don't think they would immediately go, ooh, what is this? They'd be like, oh, that looks like a nice piece of meat with some nice fatty, juicy pockets in there. Yeah, sure, I'll try that. But once you have the slices, I like to get another cleaver and just chop everything really nice and fine. And this is gonna give us those nice little edges and ridges, so then when we go crisp this up, it'll be nice and just render out juicy deliciousness. But before we do that, I wanna use up some of those juices and vegetables that we did the sous vide liquid in. So basically, I'm just gonna add in the vegetables and a little bit of the beef liquid, and then I'm gonna toss in some habanero salsa that we had made. And by combining the two, we get that nice umami beefy flavor from the beef tongue liquid, and it combines and balances really well with that tomato spiciness from the habanero salsa. But now all we have to do is crisp these up, and I like to just throw them on the griddle, and you want that fat to completely render out until you're left with these nice juicy and crispy bits, kind of like bacon. And then for actually making the tacos, I like to keep these really simple. The first time I had these were down in the Pittsburgh Strip District, and it was just onions and cilantro. But for my preference, you know, I'm going pickled onions, and then we're gonna add our nice beefy habanero salsa in addition to just some fresh cilantro. And now it's time to give that thing a taste test.
All right, so this taco, seriously, so good. And these crispy bits of beef tongue, I mean, once you crisp them up, it's like the same thing as, like, the same idea behind bacon, right? Like, bacon is a fatty cut and there's some meat in it. Tongue is kind of the same. It's fairly fatty, less fatty than bacon. But once we crisp it up and render out that fat, you're left behind with just these nice crispy bits with the juiciness. And I'm telling you, if you gave just the meat to somebody and asked them to guess what it was, I guarantee you, tongue would probably not be within the first 10 guesses. Guarantee it. There's nothing about it from like a texture or taste perspective that you'd be like, this doesn't seem right. Like, this is just, it's crispy meat that is really juicy and meaty and just, it tastes awesome. It really does. And then once you combine it with those fresh components like the cilantro, the pickled onions, and the beef juice kind of hot sauce that we made, I'm telling you, this is really a top-notch taco. If you ever see the chance to order some lengua tacos, or if you ever get a chance to make beef tongue, I would just say at least try it. Just give it a shot. And you know, if you don't like it, it's not a big deal, but at least you try it. And that's, I think, all that we can do. But I'm telling you, I would gladly eat this any day of the week. I mean, it's crispy, it's fatty, it's juicy, it's meaty, and then it's just fresh with the cilantro, hot sauce, and pickled onions. I mean, it's an all-around great taco. But that is gonna wrap it up for the video, guys. So next week is actually gonna be, I think, the final episode of the series. It'll be the 12th Taco Tuesday in a row. It's been a lot of fun. I've got some ideas on what I wanna do, but it's not finalized yet. So if you do have some ideas that you would like to send me, just shoot them to me on Instagram, comment down on YouTube, and yeah, we can come up with a nice finale to our Taco Tuesday series. But that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all the other content as well. But I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
No, that's the beef and tongue taco I remember and love. So simple.